Welcome back to my workshop. Now today I'm going to look at this, which is a gas soldering iron from Lidl's, so it's part of the Parkside range. I bought this probably a week or so ago. It's now the beginning of March 2025. This cost me about £15, I think it was. I've already got a number of soldering irons, so I don't really need another one, but I thought I'd give this one a go for the price and see if it's any good. So let's have a close look at this and see if it's something that you might want to get. Right, so what actually have we got here? Now we got a 3-in-1 gas soldering iron set. Just for information, it's a WWS-GLK9Y02S, just in case you want to order one. 3-in-1, easy to refill with standard lighter gas or fuel gas cartridge. Now I think it's got gas in here. We'll check when we open it. It gives you some information about the temperatures you can achieve. Shows you what's in it. We'll go through that in a second. You get 3 years warranty apparently, which is good. Just a quick look at the blurb on the back here. A versatile 3-in-1 tool with various uses. Blowtorch with precise flame, ideal for soft and hard soldering tasks. Hot air gun for moulding plastics or removing paint. Soldering iron for cordless electric soldering. Practical piezo ignition. Short heat up time, practical cordless working, easy to refill with standard lighter fuel, blah, 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 temperatures. So let's get it out of the box and have a look. Before we get it out of the box, I've got, as I say, a number of soldering irons. I've got this one, which is a gas soldering iron. Okay, this is an iRodo one. iRoda. It's a soldering iron. Okay, that's a gas one. I've also got this one, which is my ancient one. This is so old, but it just seems to work really well. So that's why I keep holding that one. I've obviously got this as well, which is a bit more. It's got a temperature adjustment on it. Yeah, they all do exactly the same thing with various different degrees of success. But also this one says it's a blowtorch. Now I normally use one of these, which is normally used for creme brulee, but I normally use that for heat shrink and that sort of thing. So let's hope that this one can actually do all of those things well. Okay, now let's get it out of the box. Usual cardboard packaging, a little bit of a sellotape on the side there. Oh, it actually comes in a plastic box. Oh, that's nice. Okay, yeah. It's not the best box in the world, but it will keep it safe and it will keep all your bits in place. And also, yeah, you get a small thing of gas, and you also get an empty box, which is obviously some sort of packaging, and you also get a set of instructions. Okay, so that's what you get for your money. Let's have a look at the instructions first. Right, I won't spend too much time on the instructions here. Basically a picture of what you get in the kit. Okay, 3-in-1 gas soldering iron set. There's a QR code here if you want to look at some more information online. Inside, nice pictures, we like pictures. Basically points out all the bits and pieces, tells you what different tips you get. Okay, shows you how to use it. Yeah, that's all very interesting. Then it goes over a little bit of safety, tells you how you're going to use it, tells you what to check, a bit of safety. Yeah, okay. And some more instructions here. Okay, so you can read through those if you like. The first bit of it is English, and then it goes off into various different languages. Probably worth a look before you start playing with it, but I'm going to try and make it up as I go along. Let's have a look and see what you actually get in the box. Right, a fairly plasticky case. It looks like it'd be robust enough. The hinge is actually, it's just the plastic hinges. Okay, so don't expect too much from those. If you work it too much, they're going to snap off. Looking in here, what do we get? We get the actual soldering iron. We get 3 nozzles for filling with gas. We get some solder. We get an end cover. I'll go over that in a minute. You get a little sponge in a tea light case. A heat shield for when you're using it as a blowtorch. And 3 tips here. Okay? Right, so let's have a look at this big fella here first. Right, the very first thing I've noticed is this. Okay, I know it's the trigger, but it's also a stand. Now, that's probably more useful than you'd expect. Now, normally when I'm using my ye old soldering iron here, as soon as I've soldered something, I put it down and it ends up burning holes in everything. and I ended up burning myself because I tried to grab it. And unless you've got one of these fellas with your soldering iron, you're a bit stuffed. So yeah, straight away, straight out of the box, that's fairly impressive. Right, okay, looking at the actual body here, okay, you've got a button on the side there, which is cant, which is continuous. I'll show you how to use that in a minute. You've got this, which is the ignition. Okay, then you can remove the end here, okay, and that allows you to use it as a blowtorch, like that. Okay, we'll try that in a moment, and also just dropping in your normal tips. That's all very good. A little bit of rubber on the side here. Tells you direct pressure butane, so that's the type of gas you use. You can actually use a butane propane mix as well, okay, which is nice. Right, Parkside on here, and on the end here it says about refilling. It's just a pictorial image here, and it says 1 second, so maybe just filling it for 1 second. I don't know if that would be enough, but we'll try it. On the top here you've got a temperature control, so minimum here, maximum there. Right, that all seems fairly simple and easy to understand. So looking at it, the first impressions are quite good. I'm quite liking the look of this. I was wondering what these rubber bits are for. Okay, there's one on that side, one on that side. They're not buttons or anything, but they're quite handy. It's where your thumb goes and your finger can go when you're actually using it as a soldering iron. Okay, there's one on either side, so if you're left-handed, no problem. If you're right-handed, no problem. Okay, on this end, obviously you've got the tips. Now, whatever you do, don't unscrew the tips while it's still hot, because that would be really stupid. Okay, but they just literally, conventional thread, they just unscrew. Now, the first tip here, okay, is just a pointy tip, which is good for normal small electronics. You've got this tip here, okay, which is it's probably about, I don't know, 20 mil long, and it's just a metal shaft. Now that might be handy if you're trying to poke some holes in a plastic pipe, so we'll try that. Then you've got this, which is more of a conventional type of soldering tip. Okay, it's flat, it's round but flatted off, so that could be a conventional soldering tip. We can try that. And then finally this one, which is it looks more like a screwdriver, okay, but I'm sure that's got its uses. You might even be able to use this for some sort of pyrography. Maybe we'll try that. And this one here, okay, that's just a heat shield which fits over the end here for when you're using it as a blowtorch. Okay, it's not a spoon, even though you could probably scoop things up with it. Right, okay, so fitting these, as you probably are aware, you just literally screw them in the end. Now when you want to use it as a blowtorch, obviously you could just take that end off, and you've got a small hole in the end there. You could use that as a precise one, or you could unscrew this. Okay, pop out that little sleeve, pop this back on. Okay, and you get a broader type of flame. Okay, we'll try all this in a second, but we can't try any of that until we get some gas in it. Luckily, it comes with this, which is butane. Okay, but if you want to, you can also use some standard universal gas lighter refill. Okay, this sort of stuff. Okay, which is cheap as chips. Okay, but we're going to use this because this is what comes with it. Right, how do we fill it up? So in the canister of gas here, if you take the lid off, there's a couple of nozzles here. So what we've got to do is select the right nozzle to fit in the end of this. Okay, which would probably be that one, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that off of there using a pair of Parkside side cutters. Pop that now. Off on it. Right, and it does say for 1 second. So I'm going to try it for 1 second. Right, whenever you fill these up, after you've filled it, wait around for a couple of seconds, let any gas that's floating around in the air disappear. Right, so the idea is you pull this trigger and this should ignite. You should be able to see a light in this little thing here should start glowing orange, okay? So, well, that doesn't work. Right, I'm going to try that for more than a couple of seconds. Right, so I've done it for a couple of more seconds. Let's try and light it. Right, okay, we can see it glowing here. Let's get in focus. It was a nice squeegee sound. Right, I've still got my finger on it now. If I let go, it's going to stop. Okay, you can hear it stop. So we light it again. Okay, it's glowing again, and push the constant button and then you can release. Okay, this is now going and it will stay going until it runs out of gas. Okay, and if you want to stop it, just pull the trigger, the button pops up at the top, release it, and it's stopped. Put it down, make sure you don't touch the end. Let's try and solder something quickly. All right, so in the kit you get this, which is normal solder. Okay, I'm assuming this is quite safe to use. And you also get this, which looks like a tea light holder. It's got a little sponge in it. Now, before you do any soldering, just quickly put a bit of water in there, because what you want to do is keep your tip clean and tidy. Okay, you can literally rub that on there, and it actually takes all of the rubbish off the end of your soldering. So I'm going to go and put some water in there very quickly. You don't have to saturate it, just get it a little bit wet. All right, let me go and do that. Right, so I want to solder something. Here's a little bit of wire. Now this could be anything. You could be using it around the home or in the car or doing some electrical work. Okay, using my Parkside wire strippers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bare back both ends of this. Okay, like that. I'll actually cut it in half. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to solder these two ends together. Now there's various different ways to do this, and it depends on who you're talking to is how to do it properly. But what I'm going to do first of all I'm going to do is tin both of these. So basically cover these in solder, then put them together and then solder them together. Okay, but I want to hold these. So let's find a method of holding those. All right, so I just need to hold these bits of wire. Now you can get a proper set of helping hands, okay, but I haven't got one in the workshop here. So all I've got is a couple of little teeny tiny clamps with a couple of these little crocodile clips. So all I'm planning on doing is holding that one there and holding this one here. Then my hands are free to do whatever I like. Okay, but first thing I've got to do is tin these. Right, soldering iron, light it, scream. So for this, I'm just going to try and use this spadey type terminal. Okay, so it's just a round with a flat on it. Yeah, just wait for it to warm up a little bit. All right, so it's been running for a couple of seconds now. Only a couple of seconds. It seems to heat up really quickly. So first thing I'm going to do is, hopefully you can see here, I'm going to tin the end of that. Actually, it's very hot. Right, get some heat into the wire. Little touch of solder. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so that's that tinned. Let's try the other one. Okay, so both those are now tinned. And what we're going to do is try and get these, stick them together. Okay, and then off. Right, not the best solder in the world, but it's there. That's good. Right, so let's put some heat shrink around there and then see if we can use the blowtorch. Right, I've got what's left of this, which is an old Powerfix set of heat shrink. Okay, this I think will probably be about the right size. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're soldering a piece of wire that's in some sort of harness, make sure you put your heat shrink on first, because otherwise you can't get it on. But luckily for this demonstration, I can slide that on, slide it over my solder. Right, so that's over the top. Now all I've got to do is heat shrink it in place. Right, so now I want to use it as a blowtorch. Now obviously this is still, it's a little bit warm. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes since I actually soldered it. But what I'm going to do is unscrew this, drop that out without touching it, and put this back in. Okay, so what I can do is I can use just this as a blowtorch, or now I think in this case, because I want it fairly localized, okay, I can pop that back in and just use this end. Okay, now this little scoopy thing is ideal for helping with this. Okay, you literally put that on, and then when you're heat shrinking, okay, you use it like that. Okay, so let's give that a go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down a bit because I don't want to burn it, I just want to heat it. Trigger on. Okay, so let's give it some heat. Right, hopefully you can see this. Yeah, it's working a treat. Let's turn it up a little bit. Right, job done. Trigger off, stand out of the way. Okay, so my heat shrink is now on there. It's a bit warm. Yeah, nice. So I haven't burned the wire. That's all covered. So that's using this heat shield and the heat gun. Right, normally I would use my creme brulee thing for this, but normally let's have bigger flame. So let's take out this end and just see if we get a bigger flame out of it. Alright, so now taking the end out, let's light it and see what we get. I'll turn it down a bit just to start with. Ooh. Yeah, so we got a flame there. Turn it up. Nice. Okay, what are we going to use that for? Let's find out. Alright, so I now got it set as a blowtorch, and it should, oh yes, look at that, nicely flame. I was looking for a bit of pipe, plastic pipe to actually melt, but instead I've come up with this, which is a little bit of conduit. So what I'm going to do is turn it down very low. I'm going to see if I can actually bend this without burning the hell out of it. Okay, so just very gentle heat. Don't burn it, don't burn it, don't burn it. There you go, you can see it going. Okay. Now using that, look at that, it's nearly run out of gas. That didn't last very long at all. Yeah, run out. So using it like that uses a lot of gas. Anyway, in the meantime, I've managed to heat that gently, and I bent that, so if you needed to go around the corner, you can use that for that. Let's fill this back up again. Right, I just filled this up with gas again. That didn't last very long at all. Right, let's just try and scorch a bit of wood. Why you'd want to, I don't know, but maybe you do. Now this is on minimum. This is just a bit of ply. Oh, yeah, so it manages to deliver quite a bit of heat. Obviously, if you turn it up, it gets a bit unruly. Okay, so if you ever want to scorch some wood, that's the thing to use, but this uses a lot of gas very quickly. Right, what else have we got? Right, one of the other end attachments or tips was this one. Let's screw it in, and this is just a sticky shaft. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use this for something I thought I might be using it for. Rather than drilling a hole in this, my good old bit of conduit, let's try it, lighting it. Are we alight? Yes, we are. Turn it up a bit. Just wait a couple of seconds, wait for it to warm up. All right, so I've had that running for a couple of seconds. Let's see if we can actually punch a hole in here. Yes, we can. There we go. Let's have a close up of that. Okay, just try that again. Nice little neat hole. If you want it a little bit bigger, put it through, give it a little wiggle. Might be big enough to put a bit of wire through. There you go. Right, so that's one use for this thing. Let's clean up our nozzle. So the last thing to look at, we looked at everything else in the box, is this protective cover. Okay, so when you put it down, obviously it's not going to burn the surface, but there's nothing to stop you actually touching this. So they give you this protective cover, okay, which goes over the top. Now that's good because then you're not going to touch it. The only thing that I noticed was on some of the other gas soldering irons I've got, it's got this type of cover. Okay, so when you're alight, if you put a cover on, it turns off the soldering iron. Okay, so that's a good safety device, but obviously this one doesn't do that. So in theory, you could still have it running with the end on, okay, which is probably not a good idea. Okay, but it's a protective cover to stop you putting your fingers on it. So we've looked at everything that's in the box. I think that'll do. Right, so I think that'll just about do it. That was a look at the Parkside gas soldering iron. Now, do I think it's worth it? Actually, I do. I think it is. For what this cost me, which was, I think, £15, you get a gas soldering iron with some gas, some tips. You can do some soldering. Okay, if you don't do soldering very often, this will be perfect. Just stick it in your toolbox and you can use it whenever. Now, I've just had a check. Okay, this one here, which is another gas soldering iron. Today, if you wanted to buy this is going to cost you about 59 or 60 pounds. Okay, this does pretty much everything this does, but the only thing I have noticed is it runs out of gas very quickly. Okay, especially if you're using it as a blowtorch. Okay, something like this, which I've had for years. Okay, that's what it's designed to do. So it's very efficient. Okay, and the gas lasts quite a while, but it's got a bigger tank. Okay, so gas runs out very quickly, but it does heat up very quickly, so you can get soldering almost instantly. Okay, so it does what you expect it would do. I put it back in the case, it's still warm, and I can actually feel it's warm. Better check that. Right, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Precise flame, ideal for soft and hard soldering tasks. Hot air. Just a bit of look. Online area, you can use the QR code. That's not a PDF. Shall I start again?